Hello and welcome to this Come to Jesus Daily devotional. I trust you are well. Today's devotional is entitled, What House Does God Want? Today we continue in our series on praying together, where we're looking to encourage each other and seek to build a church that's devoted to praying together. And today I want to ask this question: what house does God want? Let's read from Mark 11:15 to 17. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. As he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations,' but you are making it a den of robbers"? What house does God want? In summary, God wants to build a house after His design, a house of prayer for all nations. God wants us to build a house after His design, a house of prayer for all nations. I'm sure you've seen on television, or if you were to scroll through the channels, way too many channels nowadays, you'll see that there's so many programs about doing up houses or changing location, moving from the country to the city, from the city to the country, or having a house in both places, looking for the ideal life, because most people know that where we live is important. And we also can overdo it and think that where we live is going to make our lives altogether great and this is going to fulfill us in every way, but that's just simply not true, is it? But we all have an opinion about where we would like to live, small or large, in the city, in the country. We also have an opinion about how we'd like things decorated. I would just have everything magnolia. I don't know what you would like. How would you like things decorated? But we have opinions about these things, and God has an opinion about the kind of house that He wants. And He wants us to join Him in building His house. In the Old Testament, God gave great detail about the tabernacle and about the temple, the house where He dwelt amongst Israel while they were journeying, and then when they entered the promised land, the temple and how it was to be built. He gave very specific directions and plans. And He also raised up people who had the skills in order to build that house. In the New Testament, He also has strong opinions about the kind of house He wants. He gives us direction in His Word about how that house is to act, how we're to build it, how it's to be. And we're going to think a bit more about that this week, the kind of house that God wants to build. So in response, God wants us to join Him in building His house, a house of prayer for all nations. I wonder, when we look to join a church, I wonder if its prayer life, its organised prayer life even features. Does it feature in the kind of church we want to be a part of? If we're in any form of leadership, or any one of us in our churches, how can we encourage? How can we be devoted? How can we inspire? How can we help those around us to build a house of prayer, which is the kind of house that God wants us to build? God bless you.